Hey everyone, so lately I've been thinking back to the Dressrosa saga. Now, this was the first saga in the New World era of One Piece, so you know it had to be really impactful to the story. And as I was thinking back, I realized there was one major through line tying the entire saga together. One central driving force for why the Straw Hats fought so valiantly against Caesar Clown and Doflamingo. That through line was the Smile Fruits. Ever since chapter 689, it became clear that Caesar Clown and Doflamingo had been working together to aid the Beast Pirates. Caesar would produce a substance known as SAD at Punk Hazard, an abandoned world government science laboratory. This substance would then be shipped off to a factory at Dressrosa, where it would be turned into Smile, a man-made artificial Zoan devil fruit. Now, these devil fruits would then be given to the Beast Pirates, allowing Kaido to create an army of hundreds of Zoan users. The driving force for Trafalgar Law and Luffy forming an alliance was that they would cut Kaido's supply of Smile Fruits to weaken his army, and eventually take the Emperor down for good, while Law in actuality was more interested in taking down Doflamingo due to him killing Rocinante, who was sort of a father figure to Law in his childhood. Law made it clear that cutting off Kaido's source of power was enough of a motivator for the Emperor to rain hell on Doflamingo out of revenge. Point is, the story built up that these artificial devil fruits were incredibly important to the Beast Pirates, and that the benefactors of these powers would likely pose a great challenge for the Straw Hats in the Wano arc. Now, why am I telling you all this? Anyone who has read or watched One Piece already knows the gist of the Dressrosa saga. Well, now that the Wano arc is in the rearview mirror, I have to say that the Smile users were one of the biggest disappointments of the arc. They definitely didn't come across as the scientific achievement that would be the key to Kaido taking over the world, and honestly made nearly 150 chapters worth of the story feel almost pointless. The first reason why the Smile Fruits were useless is simply that none of the users were very strong. The Wano arc established that the Beast Pirates are organized by power, with Kaido standing at the top as the strongest, the lead performer second, the Tobiropo third, the headliners and gifters in fourth and fifth, and everyone beneath them are either crewmates who are waiting to receive a Smile Fruit, or ate one that was defective, only gaining the uncontrollable urge to laugh sporadically. Only once we get to the headliners do we actually find our first group of Smile users. I should mention that the naming convention is a little weird, where gifters is actually what the Smile users are known as, and headliners are crewmates deemed strong enough to lead them. Most of the headliners just naturally turn out to be Smile users, with Hawkins being the only known notable exception. I suppose it does speak to the strength of the artificial devil fruits that headliners primarily consist of the benefactors of Kaido's underworld deal, but remember that headliners are only the fourth highest ranking group in the crew. The story makes it clear from the get-go that these characters are nowhere near the pinnacle of Kaido's crew, and the writing reflects that. Starting with Hold'em, who was one of the most prominent Smile users. He was a headliner that ran Bakura Town in the Kuri region of Wano. After torturing Tama, Luffy came to her aid and defeated Hold'em with one punch. Not a good look for the headliners so far, but there may yet be hope for them. Let's see how Queen's lackeys at Udon fare. Looking at the prisoner mine, we made 4 headliners. One is the warden of the prison, and the other 3 are vice wardens. Starting with the vice wardens, Doban, a Hippo Zoan, was defeated in the chapter he was introduced in by Luffy and Kid after they beat him up from inside his mouth. I'm saying that in the least inappropriate way that I can. Then we have Daifugu, a Scorpion Zoan who was taken out off-screen by miscellaneous prisoners. Vice Warden Solitaire never actually fought outside of a filler scene in the anime, so we can just disregard her. Then, lastly, Warden Babanuki, an Elephant Zoan, was defeated by his own attack after Luffy tied his trunk in a knot. I could talk about the headliners seen at Onigashima, but there's really no point as the story is practically the same with them. Just more fodder for the actual powerhouses to one-shot. At best, the gifters were a minor inconvenience. There wasn't a single Smile user who had a genuine one-on-one battle throughout the Wano arc. The Tobiropo, lead performers, and Kaido were given one-on-one battles because the story wanted to portray them as tough fighters. If Oda wasn't planning on including the Smile users among the prominent fighters in the Beast Pirates, then what was the point of hyping them up? One counter-argument I'd like to address is that the Gifters are only weak in relation to the Straw Hats. The Straw Hats are going to clear most rank and file members of an Emperor crew, but against, say, the Marines or another Emperor crew, the Gifters would make a huge difference, as they're likely stronger than the Grunts of those armies. And to that I would ask, where is the proof? When have we been shown that the Smile Fruits gave Kaido's crew an edge over, say, Big Mom's crew? The story never gave us a fight scene that truly establishes that the Gifters are a difference maker. Compare this to Marineford, where we see various vice admirals holding back Whitebeard's subordinate crews, or the warlords taking down Ors Jr. and fighting back some of Whitebeard's commanders, or the Impel Down escapees. That arc didn't give us full one-on-one battles since the focus was on Luffy saving Ace, and yet even then it did a better job at establishing how every major faction played a crucial role in the war. The Smile users weren't given the same focus. The only time it ever appeared that they were providing a challenge for major characters in battle was when they outnumbered Jinbei or Frankie while they were already busy fighting the Tobi Roppo. But that doesn't really speak to the ability of the Smile users. When you enter a battle with 1/6 the army of your opponents, you tend to get outnumbered, whether the enemies are human-animal hybrids or not. The next issue is that there were too many Smile users in Kaido's crew to begin with. En route to Dressrosa, Law explains that Kaido has at least 500 Devil Fruit users in his crew, and that the key to taking him down is minimizing his strength. This is Law's justification for needing to destroy the Smile Factory. But here's the problem with this justification. Even if we were to assume that the Gifters were strong, say they're on the level of the lead performers, already having 500 crewmates on that level of strength puts Kaido in a position so far beyond any pirate crew or army we've seen in the story that it's already too late to stop him. This guy can challenge the Straw Hats, the other 3 emperors, and the world government at the same time, and he'd probably still come out on top. So what if we can stop further production at Dressrosa? Is Kaido getting another, say, 10 kings or queens gonna really be the difference maker? No, the situation would already be beyond salvageable at this point. We know that Caesar only started working with Doflamingo and Kaido within the past 4 years, as the chemical incident only happened 4 years ago. Considering this, we can assume the rate of Smile production was somewhere around 125 Devil Fruits a year. If we're to believe the production started during pre-time skip, since Doflamingo first mentioned the Smiles back in the Sabaody arc, then we're looking at 250 Devil Fruits a year. And since Law and Luffy ended up fighting Kaido shortly after the Dressrosa arc, how many Smiles fruits did we really stop from reaching Kaido? The math doesn't really matter. Even if the production suddenly ramped up in the past week and they were going to ship another 500 Smiles to Kaido right now, whether the Gifters are as strong as King or as weak as Hold'em, there's no reason to believe that this increase would have any noticeable effect on their strength. I think Oda wrote himself into a corner here. He was too unwilling to make the Gifters legitimate threats to the Straw Hats, so he focused on quantity over quality. Just say there are hundreds of them so that they can overwhelm the allies during the raid. That'll make them seem strong. But this creates a problem where now you need to justify why stopping the production of the fruits is so essential when Kaido's numbers are already so great. As far as I can tell, no justification was given. Going to Dressrosa served no greater purpose beyond the immediate goals of taking down Doflamingo and freeing Dressrosa from his tyranny. Before getting into ways that I think the story could have counteracted the insignificance of the Smile Fruits, I want to bring up 2 genuinely significant times that the Smile Fruits did impact the story. The first example I wanted to mention, and have been intentionally avoiding discussing until now, is Tama. We learned pretty early on in the Wano arc that Tama's Devil Fruit allows her to tame animals and make them do her bidding. This includes Smile users. During the Onigashima raid, Tama ended up controlling several Smile users to fight for Luffy's side, significantly changing the tide of the battle as once again, the enemies outnumbered the Straw Hats 6-1. Without a doubt, this is the most impactful the Gifters have ever felt in the story, and their moment came when they were possessed into fighting against Kaido. At this point, I'm thinking the Straw Hats and Law really screwed up. They should have left Dressrosa alone and allowed Doflamingo to create more Smile users. That way the Alliance could have gained even more allies. Now, I know my mocking can seem unfair, as in the story there was no way for the Straw Hats and Law to know that the Smile users would end up being more beneficial than harmful. But the thing is, One Piece is a work of fiction, of course. Fictional works are written with intentionality. They're not bound to real-world rules where there are random occurrences. Why would Oda write Kaido amassing an army of Zoans as something threatening that must be stopped, and then flip it against him? Is it supposed to be ironic that his own ambition became part of his downfall? If so, I personally find that to be very disappointing and a waste of our time. The second time the Smile Fruits actually mattered came when we learned about the plight of Ebisu Town. In a genuinely shocking and heart-wrenching twist, we learned that the reason Caesar's artificial devil fruits are called Smile is because of a nasty side effect that can occur where those who consume the fruits are doomed to constantly smile for the rest of their lives. This was first shown to us through Toko, a character clearly created for the purpose of getting the audiences to feel sympathetic towards the people of Ebisu Town. And in my opinion, this was very effective. I really have no complaints with this story development. I found Toko to be an incredibly endearing character, and seeing her not even be able to properly mourn her father's death because of her affliction made me want to see Kaido and Orochi go down all the more. It also retroactively paints the Punk Hazard and Dressrosa arcs in a different light. I find Caesar Clown to be even more reprehensible, knowing that he's the root cause for all their suffering. But the key word here is retroactive. This side effect was never the reason for destroying the Smile Factory at Dressrosa, as we didn't even know they had a side effect at this time. I'm still appreciative of this new plot development, but it shouldn't have been the only lasting impact of the entire saga. It would have been great if we could have it both ways. The Smiles could have been both a valuable asset to Kaido, and they could have been used to show how Orochi tortured the citizens of Ebisu Town. Instead, we only got the latter, which doesn't do enough to justify the journey we went on to get to Wano. Now that I got my criticisms out of the way, let's discuss how the Smile Fruits could have actually served a purpose in the narrative. Well, earlier I said that the Smile Fruit users were too weak and there were too many of them. So what if we shrunk the number of Smile users down from 500 really middling pirates to just say 6 or 7 really strong Devil Fruit users? This would make it easier to portray the Smile users as tough fighters while also being reasonable, as once again it would be hard to believe that anyone would have a chance at defeating an army of 500 people on the level of, Jack, let's say. Typically when Oda shows off an organization, he likes to keep the really strong characters to a select few. Look at Baroque Works where there are 2,000 members, but only the officer agents are actually the ones who pose a threat, of which there's only 9 of them. Or how when the Pacifista were introduced, they initially were a major threat, with us only knowing that at least 4 models existed. Then after Marineford, we learned there were like 20 of them, so they quickly became fodder. But then what happened? The world government unveiled a new model of Pacifista called the Seraphim, of which there's only 7 members. 7 incredibly powerful characters that give the Marines a significant power boost. In the world of One Piece, a single really strong character can defeat hundreds if not thousands of grunts without breaking a sweat. That's just kind of how it works. With all of that said, what if the Tobi Roppo were Smile users? I feel like this faction of the Beast Pirates was written in for the purpose of being Smile users because it just seems so perfect. Let me explain. Every other Emperor crew we've met is divided into at most 3 broad categories: the captain, the top commanders, and then all the other irrelevant crewmates. Whitebeard had 16 commanders, and while they all varied in strength, in his hierarchical crew, they were all considered equals. And each commander commanded several no-name pirates. Big Mom had her sweet commanders, and then all her remaining kids and pirates she recruited make up the rest of the crew. Shanks and Luffy actually only have 2 tiers, the captain and then their officers. But the Beast Pirates are unique. They have the captain, Kaido, the 3 lead performers, and then before we even reach the rank and file members of the crew, we have the Tobi Roppo. 6 incredibly tough ancient Zoan users who ended up fighting most of the Straw Hats during the raid. This seems to give Kaido an edge on other Emperor crews, but there's no real explanation given as to why he has 2 tiers of really strong subordinates. So, what if we just said that it's because the Tobi Roppo ate Caesar's Smile Fruits, significantly boosting their strength? And for added measure, let's say that they were all awakened Zoans, because honestly there's no good reason that a pirate crew whose entire goal is to create a Zoan army shouldn't have awakened Zoan users, while Rob Lucci and Kaku are awakened. Following up the reveal at Punk Hazard that Kaido is investing in creating a Zoan army by showing that he literally used his investment to create an entire faction of absolute monsters would have been a hugely satisfying reveal. This would make the events of the Dressrosa saga actually feel significant. There is still one problem that does need to be addressed. Even if we did just have 6 Smile users, we'd still need to justify why stopping the production at Dressrosa now would make a significant difference. I mean, if Caesar could only make 6 of these things in the span of at most 4 years, we probably don't have to worry about any more Smile fruits reaching the Beast Pirates by the time we reach Wano. Well, to that I say, what if we just have Caesar make up some bullshit about how Smile production has rapidly increased now, and he has like 10 new Smile fruits ready to be processed at the Dressrosa factory? Crazier coincidences have happened in One Piece. I mean, the fact that the Straw Hats, Law, Kinemon, and Momonosuke ended up meeting each other at Punk Hazard is already the biggest coincidence of the century. And in this case, there's actually some precedence for this. Doflamingo indicated during the Sabaody arc that he was giving up ownership of the auction house to focus on Smiles. This could indicate that he only recently put money into producing the Smiles at a faster rate. The idea that stopping Doflamingo meant preventing Kaido from gaining another, say 10 Tobiropo in his crew would really make the Straw Hats' efforts at Dressrosa feel very, very meaningful. And then once we would reach the Wano arc and meet the fabled Tobiropo, we'd be relieved that there's only 6 of them, but also terrified, because there's still 6 of them. Well, I'm gonna stop now before I get too caught up in my own fanfiction. Although it already may be too late for that. Anyways, that'll be it for today's video. I plan on making videos every week, 2 weeks-ish. I think I realized that making a video every week is probably not feasible. But for now, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and thank you for watching.